ama niweke perspectives. Ndio hii perspectives bwana waturudisha mwaka wa 2022. Sisi tuko mwaka wa 2023. Basi perspectives tukaribishe kwa mwaka 2023.
Yeah, so I know you guys are wondering why I'm saying 2022. The election is not over. So last year I started a channel, Perspectives 2022. It's a YouTube channel that focuses more on politics. And so it was more focused on the election of 2022. Even though now I call it Perspectives TV, just to avoid the kind of questions that you guys are raising, but the 2022 election remains unresolved. There is a crisis in Kenya. It's an electoral crisis. It continues up to this point. So we are not yet. 2022 is supposed to be about a process. It's not about years. It's not about calendar years. So as far as Kenya's politics are still concerned, we are still in 2022. We are yet to have a democratically elected, properly elected president installed in power. And whoever the president is resides in the service. Okay, so Julia is asking a question which I can paraphrase: how revolutions are executed. The world is not short of revolutions. The US, as it's presently constituted, had a revolution. We had the founding fathers constitute themselves in Philadelphia, come up with a document they called Unilateral Declaration of Independence, which established the United States. After just making the declaration, that's not the end of it. They had to seek legitimacy. And Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, they traveled to France, and King Louis XVI, I think, endorsed their idea of unilateral declaration of independence, gave them military support, and they ejected the British out of the United States. So that's one way. And so unilateral declaration of independence has been used in multiple jurisdictions. I think Zimbabwe had to do the same to declare independence. Sometimes you have to do that. It's a way of people exercising their sovereign authority. When looked at in details, the Kenyan Constitution, as currently written, I think it leaves room for that by bestowing the sovereignty of the nation to the masses. So the people are the sovereign, and the leaders exercise that sovereignty on behalf or at the behest of the people. So can we, and when we come to like French Revolution, they had to form Constituent Assembly. And that is what Baba was trying to do in 2017. And Uhuru, being a student of politics, knew that that was not going to end well. And so he had to shake Raila's hand. Because when you start a process of Constituent Assembly, I know we haven't reached that point yet of doing a Constituent Assembly, but I think that is the route that we may have to take. And that process has to begin now, because once you start doing Constituent Assembly, like Fidel was saying, you have to be ready as to, you don't want to have a vacuum once you have gone into State House and Ruto is now running into exile. You don't want there to be a vacuum. And if Ruto is ejected out, it means that even the current parliament as currently constituted becomes illegitimate. It means that the lawmaking process, because now we have a vacuum, we are establishing a brand new state. I think we are now in the Second Republic. We'll be going into a Third Republic. So you have to be ready for that, and you have to be ready for a way of writing the instruments of power and constitution. And so you have to have a Constituent Assembly, which should begin now. We should now that this bipartisan process, it's going to collapse. Ruto is not serious about it. Whatever Ichongwa is saying, they're not serious about it. And so it's collapsed as we talk, okay? So now the next step should be establishing a constituent assembly in which people truly and faithfully exercise their sovereignty. And the Constitution allows for that. So we would have thousands of people elected from all across the country assembling somewhere, either in the counties or in a central location, and starting to create how their nation would look like. Maybe we could even swear in Raila as the people's president, like we had started in 2017. So we would declare him, so we would know there's no vacuum. Karua would be the deputy president of that constituent assembly and would have our own structure. Kalonzo would be somewhere. And then once we execute that will of the people, then we have a team that takes over. We have a constitution-making mechanism. We have transitional, operational instruments, complete with a lawmaking body, which would then organize the country for the subsequent clean, pure, and well-executed electoral system that Kenyans have always yearned for, that truly embodies the dream, the whims, the aspirations of why the Mau Mau fought, of why our forefathers endeavored to fight, to get rid of the colonialists. So with that, I beg to yield, unless the electoral system that Kenyans have always yearned for, that truly embodies the dream, the whims, the aspirations of why the Mau Mau fought, of why our forefathers endeavored to fight, to get rid of the colonialists. So with that, I beg to yield, unless somebody has a question.